Oh my gosh! Lord of the Board has a new strategy guide series on Villainous? Come on, I love that game. He's got one on Ursula. Oh my gosh, I gotta give this thing a watch.
Have you ever just sat around and wished that you were some witch, squid, deep beneath the ocean? So have I.
Definitely not imagined that. That was kind of weird. But, you know, come to think of it, I have imagined being a green, fire-wielding fairy at times. I've always wanted that. Huh.
Hello and welcome to Lord of the Board. My name is Sam Smith and today we are going to be looking at Maleficent in the Disney Villainous board game. And we are going to be basically taking apart and looking at the strategy of playing this character. Now, Maleficent's main goal is to get these curse cards, one at each of her 4 locations. Then, once one is placed at each of the locations, she has to go through an entire turn cycle and it has to get back to her turn. And if those 4 curses are still on her board, then she wins the game. Now, kind of the fun puzzle solving part about it is that a lot of these curses have some stipulants that make it difficult for them to stay on the field, as well as her entire fate deck is filled with baddies and terrible things that can come and rake up those curses later. So how do we best play her? Well, today we're going to be looking at some cards that we have at her disposal, especially those curses, and then we're going to be looking at the 4 locations in her realm and look at a little bit of what each of those do. And then lastly, I'm going to go over 3 tips and strategies on how to play Maleficent better. So if that is something that would interest you, I hope that you stay along for the rest of the video. Now with Maleficent, we've got to talk curses. So first we're going to be talking about Green Fire. Now Green Fire is a 3-cost curse that basically when it is played, you cannot move Maleficent back onto it or else it's removed. However, heroes actually cannot be placed on it as well. So this is a really great protective curse, but it can also restrain you from movement. So I usually say that this one's a better one to hold in your hand until more towards the end game where you can play it and try to win right at the very end so that it doesn't limit your movement throughout most of the game. Now the Forest of Thorns is a great curse and you're going to be wanting to play these as well. This is actually a good one at keeping the heroes at bay. They have to be at least 4 strength or more in order to remove the Forest of Thorns. So this is going to be a really powerful curse to play early on. Dreamless Sleep is another great curse at Maleficent's disposal that actually hinders the strength of the heroes played at its location. Now, this should be used in conjunction with cards like Dragon Form and Malice, where they can actually destroy heroes without using a vanquish action and without using allies. This is a very powerful combo to get rid of those heroes early on and start getting closer to achieving victory. Now, Vanish is one of Maleficent's most powerful cards, and in general, it is just a really excellent card in the game out of, all the villains. It's one of those things where a lot of people kind of wish that it could be a reality, but Maleficent makes it a reality. This card should be used at the forest in order to get more power, as well as to discard and cycle through your deck. This is going to be a very powerful 2 turns whenever you're able to play this Vanish card. If you do get the opportunity, maybe saving these for when you have Green Fire on the board, that way you don't have to move around very often, but you can still have really powerful turns. That would be the ideal situation. Maleficents Raven is one of the best allies that you have, and there is only one in the deck. So when you play this Raven, you need to be protecting it at all costs. Seriously, try not to lose this guy. It is going to be very helpful for you to get that extra action at the end of your turn. And once you do have the Raven in play, there is no reason why you should not be collecting 3 power per turn, either with Maleficent or with her Raven. You need to be collecting that power as Maleficent for the end game. Spinning Wheel is another card that you only have one of in the deck. However, as power gain is so important for Maleficent's gameplay strategy, you're going to want to play this at a location that you feel that heroes are going to be played at. Maybe it's a location that you have a curse at and you're feeling like heroes are going to be played there. Play the Spinning Wheel there as well so that you can start racking up allies and defeating those heroes, gaining more power while defeating them. The staff is a great item at Maleficent's disposal, and you're going to be wanting to play it on a location that you're going to be using the most often. It's a pretty safe bet to put it on the forest, as that is going to be the most essential location in furthering your goal on gaining power as well as churning through your deck to get to those curses sooner. And I bunched these goons all up together because these guys are all going to be kind of the same. What you're going to want to do with them is you're going to be wanting to start preparing them for heroes being played at your curses, specifically the Forest of Thorns. This is one that can be removed with hide-powered heroes. Therefore, if you already have your goons at that location, you can vanquish them earlier, which will help you keep your board clear for future fate actions. And now that we have looked at Maleficent's cards, let's go ahead and take a look at her realm. Now the first location that we're going to be looking at in Maleficent's realm is the Forbidden Mountains. Now this has a move item and move ally ability, as well as a gain 1 power, a fate action, and a play a card. Now this location is not very good, but there is a really good use for it that I'm going to go over in the 3 tips and strategies that I have for you in a bit. Next up is Briar Rose's Cottage, which has gain 2 power, move an item or an ally, as well as play a card or discard cards. This is going to be one of the locations that you're going to be wanting to cycle with earlier in the game. Discarding cards is very important, as well as gaining 2 power is pretty good. And positioning your items and your allies, that's going to be very, very powerful for you because your character really is all about positioning and making sure that you can move things around to where you need them to be. The forest is a beautiful location, yet Maleficent, what an evil fairy, she makes use of it by gaining 3 power, discarding cards, and playing 2 cards. Now by far, the forest is going to be the best location for Maleficent, as she is doing 2 of the things that she needs to be doing throughout the game, gaining power and discarding cards to get to those curse cards sooner. Now King Stefan's castle is going to be an important location throughout the game because it's the only location that you can actually physically remove heroes from your realm with a vanquish action. But it does also include gaining 1 power, fading your opponents, as well as playing a card. This is going to be very, very great early to mid game as well as late game, just depending on how many times you were faded during the game, or also depending on how many times your opponents want to screw you over. And now that we have taken a look at her cards as well as her realm, let's go ahead and go over 3 tips and strategies on how to play Maleficent better. Now, as Maleficent, you have to be sneaky and you have to be undercover. You're not going to want to give off the idea that you are winning. You're going to want to make it seem like you are having the toughest game of your life. You are going to be wanting to be holding on to those curse cards and wait till you have about 2 curses already on the field and then play 2 in 1 turn. Or even better, if you have the Raven on the board, you can actually play up to 3 curses in 1 turn. So if you've been collecting that power, being able to have a 3 curse play will catch your opponents off guard, and hopefully you'll be able to win as Maleficent. And as my second tip, you're going to be wanting to remove heroes from Maleficent's realm as soon as they come up. You do not want to have multiple heroes on the board, especially when they fate you again and a Sword of Truth comes out. You're going to be wanting to remove them as they get into play. Therefore, utilize those goons, utilize the spinning wheel, and utilize cards like Dragon Form and Malice in order to get rid of those heroes early on in the game. And my final tip is to use green fire to actually protect your Raven. I usually play green fire on the Forbidden Mountain as well as Briar Rose's Cottage, and then I have the Raven cycle back and forth and use whatever action I feel like I'm missing out on in that turn. And this is actually a great strategy to keep your Raven protected, as well as to keep your board protected from heroes destroying your curses. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. This has been an absolute blast to make, and I hope that next time you play the Disney Villainous board game, that you are able to slay the competition as Maleficent. But before you go ahead and drop a like, as well as comment down below which villain you'd like to see me make a strategy guide for next. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, go ahead and click that bell notification to be notified when my next video is released. Who knows, maybe it will be the villain that you chose. But with that, guys, that's it for the video. Let's drop the beat.